Vision Pro, do you think it's actually going to replace iPhone, or is it more likely to replace the Mac in the long term?
I don't think it's hard. I'm glad you're asking me in a format where I have more than 20 seconds
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard to translate the feeling that I have because a lot of this stuff is just gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that not like how we view Vision Pro now, that's not going to replace the iPhone. My argument is whatever Vision Pro becomes in 10 years, like whatever we make of this project is going to be the replacement for the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have made the argument, like Drew included, that like what about taking selfies and stuff? And I don't the next replacement, the replacement for the iPhone is not going to be the replacement for everything the iPhone does. The next replacement for iPhone just has to make the iPhone seem like an accessory. Like the iPhone seems like such a core part of our lives right now, your smartphone in general, even if you're not on iOS. And I think we're at a point where we're trying to, I think we've taken that too far. It's like when, you know what the uncanny valley is?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so there was a point in animation. So we're talking Polar Express around that time. So I don't know what year that was, like maybe 2003-ish. I don't know when
Yeah.
Polar Express came out. Where animation was getting to be too human. And so now you've noticed, even though we're many, many years past that, animation has gone backwards. Animated features are way more exaggerated. Eyes are bigger. You know, everything is made to look cute in animation.
Yeah.
But there was a phase in animation where we were getting as close to human as possible until we got so close that it became unnerving.
And that point was when they tried to remove Henry Cavill's mustache.
That's the point when it happened. Yes, exactly that moment.
And
yeah.
his teeth were kind of...
Yeah, we hit some sort of uncanny valley where now animation, even though we could do things like if you Unreal Engine and stuff like stuff that's happening in gaming right now is actually insane. Like I'm questioning footage that I'm seeing. There's so many things that I've seen on TikTok where I assumed that was real, only later to find out that it wasn't real at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I feel like the same level we hit with animation where we had to back it up a little bit, I think we're all feeling with smartphones now and the lack of privacy we have and how hard it is to disconnect. We can add things like screen time, and that still doesn't help because screen time is still telling you, hey, man, you spent 8 hours on the phone like per usual every day. And I think elements like the Rabbit AI, stuff like that is trying to separate us from smartphones is a side effect of that. I don't think I commend startups like that are trying to do things a little bit differently. I think they're on the right track, but I think that's all a side effect of us being our smartphones starting to be too demanding of us now.
Yeah.
Like even I fully understand what has happened to me. I understand that I did not, like, as I was growing up, I didn't have a smartphone, and that was fine. And my life was a certain way, and I know what it's like without it. And I have seen this happen to myself where I am very much addicted to this device. And if someone took it away from me, I wouldn't know what to do. I can only imagine being born into this. You know, people are being born, being handed iPads and iPhones, and that's insane to me. So if I can't separate myself, someone who did grow up without this stuff, I can't imagine how we could possibly start to separate the people that have grown up in this.
Yeah, I think,
and I feel like as like part of humanity wants to separate us from this stuff just a little bit.
mm-hmm.
So I think there's going to be a device that acts on our core needs of these devices, but starts to give us more options to separate ourselves. And I think that's what the future ultimately is. I think the iPhone does everything, and that is what got us here.
Yeah. I mean, I've certainly started using my phone more while it's in my pocket through AirPods, which I guess is about as close as you're going to get to these AI pins without having an AI pin. I'm not sure that they are the solution. I think the idea of the smart speakers around the house and the idea that you interact with your cloud compute, if you like, you know, your calendar, things like that, listening to your podcasts as you move through the house and them having awareness of where you are in the house, that would be quite nice. So like, it's not playing throughout the whole house. If you're there on your own, it just follows you. That might be quite cool.
But it's like the people that are making these AI pins and stuff, it's like, I commend them because they're forward. They see the problem.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are are seeing how tangible this issue actually is. And the people that are making like Rabbit AI, they see the problem. They're just giving the wrong prescription for the diagnosis, it feels
Yeah.
like.
I definitely agree, especially with like things like Humane. I think the idea of the laser display on your hand, that's the goofiest thing I've ever seen. It just like
Aim for effort,
is that
but
the best we
Jesus.
could do? Like, surely
Yeah.
this whole thing could be like an Apple Watch. Like,
Yeah.
would this not make more sense with an actual screen on it, so you can actually read things without
Yeah.
having to adjust the focus of your hand length? You know,
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty tricky. And any sort of projector, have they tried it outdoors in the daytime?
We don't know. We don't talk about that. That's not in the PR material. We can't talk about that. Okay, what do you think though? Like, you don't have to agree with me, but what do you think that my argument is not that Vision Pro, as you see it right now, will replace the iPhone, but my argument is that project will eventually replace what we use our iPhone 4 and the iPhone, if it's still around, will become more of an accessory. Do you think that is out of the question, or what do you see happening?
I find it tricky. Like, I've used VR as well, so I got sent the Pico headset. So not the Quest, but TikTok's version, because TikTok versus Facebook. It's such a tricky one. Which one do I trust the most? Yeah. So I've played around with that. It's got walk around golf, so that's the most important feature.
Okay, yeah, of course.
In terms of what we're going to do into replacing the iPhone's functions, I think the Apple Glass that we heard about, the version that everyone kind of thinks we're going to get to, where you've got a pair of glasses, it projects onto it, you're not going to be watching full blown content on it because you're not going to have the contrast on the background. It's like the clear TVs that everyone raved about at CES. But why do you want to see the wall? Like, unless your wall is painted black, it doesn't help. It's interesting for a shop display, and that's kind of it. I think it's going to be a lot closer to what we use the Apple Watch for. It's going to be like a heads-up display rather than a glance-down display. I still think anyone that wants to have a camera on an Apple Watch is clinically insane. Because I don't want to FaceTime people up my nose. It's bad enough as it is. Like, just that's not a good angle for anyone.
Right, yeah.
But I do think like the idea of a persona that you could use with Apple glasses might be a decent idea. If it's looking at your eyes, it's picking up your expressions, because your eyes are the most expressive part of your face anyway. It can probably sort of extrapolate the rest of your face. That might work. I do think like the idea of having like the bone conduction audio from it, if you don't want to wear AirPods, that kind of stuff might work. The issue we're going to have is battery life on all of these things, because to do anything to that level, you're going to need a lot more than you can get in like the Meta Ray-Bans or something along those lines, which can record like the odd video clip. And I think that's it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's going to have to be significant battery tech that develops in the next 10 years, 15 years, whatever.
I've got it.
I mean, there was
Apple's nailed it already.
You got it.
You have the big battery pack in your pocket.
Yes, you
and
just
a long
plug it
cable
in to a 1 pound battery pack. Yeah, why? Oh,
no!
If it's an external battery
trigger
pack,
warning.
if it's an external battery pack, why didn't you make it bigger?
Because it's really...
How is 2 hours acceptable?
Because it's really heavy and made of metal.
It's already external. Then don't make it out of metal. If metal is why we get 2 hours, don't make it out of metal.
Well, the thing is, you should be able to daisy chain it to like a high capacity battery pack.
Insane.
Oh yes, it's a horrible solution, but it would work. Like, you know, the Shah Geek things that look like definitely a bomb.
Definitely.
That you definitely don't want to fly with. But they are apparently aircraft safe. It says on the side of it. I'm not going to test that.
Yeah, it says it, so must be true.
I've got to say, that thing is an absolute beast. Like, we've charged like multiple laptops from that thing. It's good. If you want to carry that around in a satchel or rucksack or, you know, small wheelbarrow, you know, you could do that.
It just I'm so excited. That's why I'm so conflicted, because I'm so excited about this, and I know the potential. Like, Apple doesn't have to tell me the potential of this. but people like us knew the potential going in before the announcement ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like there's so many aspects of it that just feel so subpar.
Yeah, I think so. But
that are excusable for a smaller version of Apple, like an Apple that is trying to take the risks and doesn't have the resources that they have, but they have unlimited resources. Out of all the tech companies, they have the unlimited resources, and this is what we got.
And they still can't get a game developer to make a game for the Mac properly. But I am wondering, is there going to be some surprise announcement that they're like, oh, and Resident Evil Village for Apple Vision Pro, and then people just fall apart because it's so terrifying. Like, that seems like an absolute absolute killer app.
That's not, even in like I don't know if it was a Resident Evil game, but I played on the Quest 2 like last year or something. I played Five Nights at Freddy's.
Mm-hmm.
We'll never do anything like that again. Anyone that wishes that amount of pain on themselves, I don't know what's wrong with you. You're a sadist. It's the worst experience of my life.
That's Matt Pat's special, isn't it? Maybe he played it on VR and he was just like,
480p.
no, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's in like not the high fidelity that's going to be on the Vision Pro. Like, no way. They should just call the app Heart Attack.
Okay, that's fair.
Do you just open it up and see how long you last?
Yep. Yeah.
For me, it was like a good 10 minutes.
Does it have all the same all the same warnings as if you go to a theme park on a roller coaster? It's like, don't use it if you've got back issues. I mean, neck issues probably is Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Hey.
Thanks,
FaceTime. Thank you so much for watching this clip from Aluminium, Apple News with a British accent. If you want to follow the podcast itself, you can either subscribe here on YouTube or you can listen to the audio version on Spotify, Apple Music, or Amazon.